Hello, I'm Junior Soul Train, co-host of The Juice on Dyvyne TV. In partnership with the House of Baasha Inc., we sat down with a living legend, Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price. Venture with us as we go into his office and talk about his life and his legacy and what it truly means to be an African American in America.
Hello, and welcome to the HOB House of Baasha Incorporated. The video production that is filming this segment would be Dyvyne Production Media Group. Today's segment, Fulfilling the Dream by Keeping the Promise. My name is Dyvyne Baasha, and I will be your host. Joining us here today is a very special man. An unsung hero amongst men and a legend to the city of Dallas. Join me by welcoming Commissioner John Wiley Price.
Thank you, my brother.
Welcome to the HOB.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Commissioner Price, when you mention the city of Dallas, you can't help but say to yourself, John Wiley Price, a force, a statue of this great city. But what they're not aware of, sir, is that the spoils of this city comes with a great price. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. You were a part of an era that the great fight existed. You lived to see greats such as the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, and the Freedom Riders. What was it like for you, sir, to live in an era such as that, to be a part of that time capsule?
Israel, I don't think you have to go, brother, that far. I think what happens with us is that sometimes we tend to place people in positions to where we cannot reach.
Yes.
You know, my reach was more local.
Yes.
You can't say my name without saying, the late, great Albert Lipscomb. You can't talk about me without talking about the great J.B. Jackson or Elsie Faye Higgins. There are so many that I consider to be mentors coming into this city,
Yes.
Coming out of Forney, Texas. One of the things that has occurred is that those mantles were passed on, and they were passed in such a way that I had an opportunity to be at their feet, to be with them in demonstrations. I did a piece about a week or so ago at the Howard Thurman Bible Institute at Friendship West, and I did a piece called Jesus and Justice. And in part of my presentation, I had a picture that basically was worth 2,000 words, and it was Al Lipscomb leading a protest that said, please don't close our schools. That picture was 35 years ago. We're closing schools today in the community, not only in Dallas and Chicago. Nothing has changed, and the more things change, the more they remain the same. And so it requires us to be vigilant. Yeah. And so, as I said, I'm not doing anything that a Bernadette Nuttall, who's on the school board, who took the mantle from an Yvonne Ewell, from a Kathleen Gillum. And I think what happens, again, in communities, somehow if people are not on the scene, we have a tendency to let them fade from our memories. Yes. And as long as we get up every morning and we understand that we're still standing on those shoulders, I think we continue, to march forward.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, I am of the opinion, while it appears on the surface that we've made progress, I'm not so sure we have. Exactly. When you begin to see the attack on what I call voter suppression, voting rights, and the real travesty for me. Yes. is that I'm an elected official. I look at the participation in the system. Dallas has a population of 2.4 million people. There's 1,800,000 people in Dallas County who are 18 years of age and older. There's 1,200,000 who are registered to vote. But we never see. I mean, the most, with President Obama in 2008, we saw the largest turnout in the history of this city. And then we only saw about 800,000. So when you still look at the potential,
yes,
the untapped potential to harvest real power, and that's what we're seeing in Ferguson, the fact that, we're not participating in the system. And so I don't see myself. I see myself as a worker bee, still toiling in the vineyards, and until I can bring in that crop, until I can see those in your generation begin to rise to the point of saying, it's our time, that we're moving forward, then I'm still here treading water.
I couldn't have a better say, sir. I love that. There are incidents, sir, that are the turning points in our decision making. And me personally, I've had such incidents. If you allow me, sir, let me quote an interview that you gave to the Dallas News, to staff writer Scott Parks, concerning the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You said, and I quote, "I was a senior in high school, and I remember the tears on my mother's face, saying, 'Why did they kill him? They didn't have to kill him.'" Was that the turning point, sir? Was that your turning point? That's when you make the promise to yourself that you can make a difference?
Brother Israel, I don't know if I could really pinpoint the turning point. Life is such an evolution, and it's ever evolving. Of course, that was very much on my head, and in terms of, in the back of my mind, in that remembrance. But I don't know if that was a turning point. That's just part of the evolution.
Yes.
I think every day I make a commitment. I make a fresh commitment. My dad used to say, God does the hard part. He wakes you up.
Yes.
Supposedly the great equalizer is 24 hours. I always akin that to the man with the talents.
Yes.
So what do I do in my 24 hours? And so at the end of the day, I'm still trying to evolve. I'm still trying to grow. And while that was very pressing, on my mind and on my heart, it can't help but catapult me every day.
Yes.
To say, as a result of my living, how is it being made better? And I think that becomes the key. Again, that becomes a challenge. People say, I don't know how you get everything into a day. And sometimes I try not to think about how I get things into a day. But again, I'm back to the whole adage and parable of the man with the talents.
Yes.
If you've got talents and you invest them properly, they'll continue to grow. And I believe that. And so while it's still only a 24-hour day, and I'm petitioning God for a 25-hour day, still working on me every day on the 24, and sometimes those 24 look like it gets a little longer. But that's it. It's an evolution. I don't know if people can ever just really, and I hear them say that they can pinpoint what was the turning point in their life. I don't know if there's a turning point. My life is constantly turning, and every point is a turning point, and every day is a task, and every day is a challenge, and every day is a test, and I've got to pass the test every day.
Yes. There are mixed emotions and feelings and concerns when it comes to Commissioner John Wiley Price. Many of us out there are saying that Commissioner John Wiley Price, he's a force to reckon with when it comes to getting things done. Then there are others out there that say Commissioner John Wiley Price needs to turn things down a notch. Sir, I personally have never witnessed a politician nor a commissioner that actually got up from behind their desk, allow the public to see they're elected, concerned with their city and the people in it. And this, to me, sir, is what it means to be Commissioner John Wiley Price. Being a graduate, sir, of El Central College, 30 years ago, did you ever imagine yourself being the political force for good for the people today?
Well, you're very kind. Again, I still don't imagine myself. You know, my position is every day,
yes.
What is the footprint that I lay down?
Yes.
Whether I'm talking about, as yesterday, being at the first low to moderate income housing in a part of my district that has never seen it, that was fought with a lot of vigilance and acrimony. But the fact that 90-something people in this city now gets a chance to live. But that's not the end of the story. And then I was not on program to speak. The mayor spoke. And I had to basically counter him in terms of talking about history. Yes. Because while I was there doing ribbon cutting yesterday and recognizing where we were, and the mayor said this is a fresh beginning going forward, my position is, as Du Bois says, we can't forget why we got here.
Yes.
So I had to honor the Mary Dews of the world. I had to honor the people who bought the lawsuit. You know,
yes.
You can't talk about this city. And again, back to Al Lipscomb, back to a Marvin Crenshaw, back to Roy Williams. People don't even remember those names now, but those are the pebble, those are the cobbles that I keep stepping on to move forward. Those brothers and sisters, fought
yes.
to make a difference. Dallas Jackson. People don't know who those names were. You can't talk about West Dallas and RSR led without talking about Dallas Jackson, without talking about Patricia Spears. And so if you don't have that history, then it's I'm just in that cog
yes.
of moving forward, having the advantage of 30 years.
Yes.
Of 30 years of involvement, of 30 years of activism, knowing who the real key players were,
yes.
and having been, at their side and at their feet, and just, again, being the beneficiary. Now, it's incumbent upon me to have all of that, and then come back and what do I do?
Yes.
One of the things I was doing when y'all came in is I'm on the computer with the Sheriff's Department, who basically is the law enforcement agency in this city with regards to where this housing is. Basically, I'm starting to see a pattern of harassment.
Yes, yes.
So how does a resident who's moved into a city, who is basically somewhat foreign, not with a welcome mat,
yes.
and then I hear a complaint lodged and I don't do anything about it? My position is that whether it was someone was killed in another city, it's incumbent upon me
Yes, sir.
to take and filter that and to make sure that I've done everything in my power to try to make sure that the ends of justice have been meted out. And I think that becomes the key for all of us.
Yes.
It becomes the key for all of us. I tell people probably the proudest I am is that I got a 100% voting record. I've never, ever, ever, ever missed an election since turning 18. I'm now getting ready to be 65. I've never missed an election.
Yes.
I don't care whether it's school board propositions, county. It doesn't matter. I've never missed an election. And when you understand that kind of power.
Yes, sir.
That kind of power. I always said, Ross Perot's got more money than I've got and probably more than I'll ever have.
Yes.
But guess what? On election day, he's got one vote, I got one.
That's right.
And on election day, I step up. I mean, and until we understand what people have gone through to get us to this point, then everything else is just posturing. Everything else is just ceremonial.
Yes, sir.
And I tell people that whether it's the naming of cities, now what are we doing to make life better? There's still a tale of two cities. They talk about in the latest mayor's task force about the poverty and what has happened in the last 10 years.
Yes.
That it has increased about 10% in the city of Dallas. I think we don't understand what's really going on, and we don't see ourselves as part of a changing demographic. It's incumbent. So I'm a beneficiary of what people have paid for and died for, and so as a result, every day, what is my contribution to the bottom line? And that's what I come in here doing.
Sir, I see you as a humble commissioner, God-led, fearing man commissioner. You have a light that just shines amongst many. But before we wrap things up, sir, I have a grandmother, like I mentioned, she's 90 years old. Her name is Elizabeth Harlan. She grew up in this great fight of equality. She has and still is a follower of Commissioner John Wiley Price and your office and all that you do. Commissioner Price, if anything can be said to the young youths out there today, to inspire them to not give up and not lose focus, what would you say to them?
They need to do a self-appraisal. Where are they, number one? And how did they get there?
Yes.
Wherever they think they are, then did they get there, or did somebody else kind of lay that groundwork? And as I said, this gets loaned to me every 4 years.
Yes.
This belongs to the people.
Yes.
This is not mine. And so I owe it to my constituents,
Yes.
to the people who have given up so much for me to be here every day, to come in here, to read, to be the strongest and the best I can. And as the late Maya Angelou said, to show that I've got courage. She said, what like in this country is courage? I mean, you can have all the brilliance you want to. You can be steeped in all the knowledge. But if you lack the courage to speak truth to power, that's what was interesting about the whole Ferguson piece was that happened in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Right where the Dred Scott decision was. When the court says that a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to have to respect. Now keep in mind, Dred Scott and his wife had lived as free individuals
Yes.
for 3 years. But when they moved to Missouri, they said they had no rights. So therefore, do we understand still? Do we have any rights that anybody is bound to respect? And do we make people respect us? It's not about congeniality. It's not about people liking us. It's about respect. And we owe that. We owe that to those individuals who have gone before us, to your grandmother and them who have just sustained 90 years. I can't even imagine 90 years ago. I know how difficult it is still today.
Yes.
I can't even imagine 90 years ago. But see, she's lived, she's traversed that whole time span. And so when you honor and you respect that, then you show your gratitude and your gratefulness by moving forward in a very courageous way.
Thank you. I'm going to go on record today by saying this. Commissioner John Wiley Price, our man downtown, has fulfilled the dream by keeping the promise. And the House of Baasha, sir, would like to thank you for joining us here today. And it has been my pleasure, sir, and an honor to have made your acquaintance.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Thank you, sir, so much. Thank you.
May God continue to bless you.